We are finally ready to install the Federation core services. These include Jagger, your Federation registry, metadata signer, metadata query service, and the wait service. Before we begin, we need to make our own decisions about the names of the following. The Federation short name, I'll be using AAF iFire X-Men. Federation long name, AAF iFire X-Men Federation. The Federation domain, aafexperimentation.cloud.edu.au. Federation Registration Authority, https://aaf-experimentation.cloud.edu.au. The Jagger domain name, fedmanager.aaf-experimentation.cloud.edu.au. The metadata query domain name, mdq.aaf-experimentation.cloud.edu.au. And finally, the WAIF domain name, ds.aaf-experimentation.cloud.edu.au. You'll need to come up with your own names for your specific federation. Also, we will need the following information. The database connection details that were set up when we created our MariaDB. For me, the database name is RR, the username is RR as well, and the password is that. You'll also need some SMTP details for sending email from Jagger. I'll be using the smtrelay.gmail.com and have a username and password for that. You'll need to determine what your own SMT gateway that you'll be using and the username and password for sending email from Jagger. So, on with the install. Again, we'll be using the manager system logged in as iFire. Jagger is the tool we'll install first, and it is a federation management tool developed by the HEAnet to manage, educate multi-party SAML federations. We'll be using this tool to manage the metadata for your federation. We have a database ready for Jagger, and the first thing we need to do is clone the iFire training repo using the following command. The directory iFire X-Men-training will be created. Open the Jagger directory inside the manifest folder. We need to edit some of these files. These files will eventually be deploying into the Jagger pod. Firstly, the database.php. We'll be updating the username, password, and database. Look for change me. Okay. That's that one done. Next, we'll be updating the config.rr.php configuration file. We need to update the sync password. We'll change it from very strong password to a very strong password. We also need to update the support email too. Just press yep. Support@aaf.edu.au is the support email address for the Australian Access Federation that I'll be using. Next, we need to update the registration authority. We'll talk about this value a bit later on in a later presentation. For now, I'll be using this value. That should be it for that particular file. The next file we need to update is config.php. And in here, we're updating the base URL. This is where the Jagger service will live. And the encryption key. We suggest using date and pipe that into MD5 sum to generate a unique value. Now we'll edit the email.php file to update the SMTP host details. And we need to create a secret for Jagger. And we'll use the following command to do so. Secret has now been created. Then we need to now create the PVC for Jagger. And we shall use this command. So we've now got a persistent volume claim for Jagger. Now time to deploy Jagger with this command. We have a deployment created. Now we need to create a service for Jagger. That's now done. Next, we need to edit the ingress.yaml and update host and hosts for our Jagger instance. So we should search for host and replace that with our Jagger host name that we've decided earlier, which is Fed Manager. And we also need to do similar for hosts. We'll save that away. Now we can create the ingress for Jagger. Next, we need to jump into the Jagger pod and set up the database. So you can run the K9S tool, find the Jagger pod, and press S to access the pod. And there is our Jagger pod. And we press S. We are now within the pod. In here, we should find the applications directory. Now we'll create the database tables for Jagger. When complete, you should see OK database schema created successfully. Exit the pod and exit K9S. If all went well, you should be able to access Jagger via the web. The next step is to set up the Jagger app. We can see the Jagger app is now running and is available to us by fedmanager.afexperimentation.cloud.edu.au/rr3. We now need to go to the setup page. This is asking me for some details for an admin user. So I'll put in admin, email address, a password that I can use to log in, and my first and last name. Submit. I won't save these. I should now have an admin account that I can log in with. But before I first log in, I need to disable the setup screen. So let's go back to Jagger and my management server. And I need to edit the file deployment.yaml. And need to update the RR setup allowed. And set its value to false. Save that. Now we need to redeploy Jagger. So let's go back into Jagger. There's admin. Now I've successfully logged into Jagger with the admin account, and I need to finalize the setup. So let's go to administration and system. And I need to run each of these processes. Successful. Database is good. And sync with the database. And I think that's all good. I'd also like to add a new front page to my Jagger. So I can go back to administration and manage articles. It tells me there's no default page. So if we go to add a default page, here we need to give it an article ID of front page. We'll give it a title of AAF Fire X-Men Federation Registry, and we want a category of info. We need to make this page anonymously visible and enabled, and we can put whatever text we like here. We'll work on this a bit later in the future. Video on setting up information about your federation. And we update that. New page is being created, and if we now hit this button, it takes us and shows us our home page. Now let's create a federation. To do so, we need to go to register and then federation. We need an internal system name for our federation. And this is the information we captured at the start of this process. So what I'm going to do is copy that in. Probably AAF Fire X-Men. Federation name is AAF Fire X-Men Federation. The name in the Federation registry metadata. We'll just stick in our domain name, make it accessible to others. And we'll now click on the register button. You may have seen up in the corner here the number change from 0 to 1. This is our little notification window, and it tells us that there are things that need to be approved. Have a look at that. It tells me that I have created a request for a new federation, and it needs to be confirmed. Clicking on the arrow here takes me to the details, and I'm happy with that, so I will accept that request. And it now tells me I have added my we go to our Federations tab, we can see AAF IFO Expert Federation ready to go. Now we have Jagger up and running and our first federation ready to go. That's it for this video. In the next videos, we'll be setting up the metadata signer, metadata